that would be the case. But the corruption here is so high, at such a high level of government, of deep state.
Oh,
and anyone can take anyone out at any time. So they're probably still afraid that something could happen to them if they pursued it.
No, put it this way: the world is pursuing it. The last thing in the world. Who do they want? Bobby Kennedy? Okay, we're going to show Max Kennedy. Who are the others? One of the I'm trying to think of the ones with Bobby, Max, Kerry, all these others. No. First, they're going to say, we're going to let you go. There is no conspiracy. Nobody's out to get you. That would confirm it.
Because they're not pursuing it. Because they're not pursuing it realistically. That's why there's no risk.
What Kennedy is worth starting this again. Look, if there's one thing we found out, whether it's Seth Rich, go down the list. Nobody cares. Hastings. Nobody looks at anything. Gene Hackman. They're like, well, he had his heart. Say his wife called she called the doctor a day after she died. Nobody, you can get away with murder here, literally, because Americans, for the most part, are just so stupid. Nothing grabs them. Nothing makes them say, wait a minute. Do you know, I have a list. I have an idea of a show. If you and I did a show, a TV show, I would have this thing. It would be like a dry erase board. And I take these little, these Post-it notes. And I would write, Hawaii fire, Maui, Lahaina. Right? Put it on there. Next, Las Vegas sniper shooting. Right? Boom. And then every week or so, bring that out. And I have this woman in like a nice muumuu come out, and we see all these stickers. Go, look at all the stories we just never followed up on. Never. We never follow up on them. 3 days and we just forget the whole thing. How about, I'm glad to see Kate Middleton looks like she's better. What was that about? Wait a minute. What was all that fake nonsense where they were pretending, where she was sitting in front of some AGI? I don't know what the hell that was. Nothing to see here. Move along. Wait a minute. No, move along. Okay. Well, just we're not going to ask any questions about this. Remember, and God bless him. Thank you. You remember how bad your King Chuck was? He's doing great. Wait a minute. What happened with it? I'm glad he's okay. We just say, oh, well, never move along. Move along. That's it. We don't follow through. Name the poison. Name the issue. We have the attention span of a gnat. We give it 3 days. And then I always tell people, don't worry about it. Listen, believe me, tomorrow they're going to forget the whole Kennedy thing. They're going to forget the whole story. They're going to forget everything. They've already forgotten the Epstein files. The files. I love this. I'm saying, what do you think you're going to find in the files? I don't know. We had the Attorney General who said, and tomorrow by 8:00. Don't do that. You think somebody will say, hey, listen, folks, got to make sure we have these files, right? Because I'm about to make a goddamn fool out of myself. I'm going to say that we're going to, okay, fine. We're already done with the Epstein files. We're not even talking about it anymore. We're just done with it. It's like, it's boring. Next. You want to talk about Yemen? You want to talk about the Houthis? Next. You want to talk about Gaza? Next. You want to name the thing which is the most compelling or important to you. Next. It is the strangest thing ever.
So you brought up Yemen and the Houthis. Trump said he was, coming to power to stop wars. But isn't it the case that the military-industrial complex needs 50 to 100 billion of war each year? Otherwise, you're going to end up like JFK. So basically, they've allowed Trump to suppress Ukraine, which is iffy because they've reinstated weapons, money, and intelligence. Meanwhile, they're revving it up against the Houthis and possibly Iran. So, what hope does Trump have when these powerful vested interests seem to override the will of the president every time?
By the way, I want your folks to ask, is it Houthi or Houthi? I don't know.
I hate mispronunciations.
I know. I can't stand them. I always make sure I get the right thing. There's some people. I think it's Houthi that we have heard people say. In any event. Like Hootie and the Blowfish. Hootie. The thing which is the most important. Let's go back. Do you know what they control? Have you seen that little piece of real estate that they control? It's in Yemen. Bab al. No matter what I do, it's called the Bab al. Oh, here we go. The Bab al Mandeb. Have you heard this one? The Bab al Mandeb. Now, this doesn't sound like mine, right? Bab al Mandeb. You know what they call it? This is my favorite. It's a great place for you to go and visit. They call it the Gateway of Tears. No, they call it here we go. The Bab al Mandab Strait. It's called the Gate of Tears or the Gate of Grief. And it's a strait between Yemen and the Arabian Peninsula and Djibouti and Eritrea and the Horn of Africa. And it connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden and then on to the Indian Ocean and the Suez Canal. Blah, blah, blah. It is probably one of the most critically important pieces of nautical real estate ever. And it's like this. It's this little tiny thing. And this guy comes out with a beret and a bunch of medals, and he goes, ah, la, 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 and they go, oh, come on. Well, that guy will say, well, watch what we've got drones. You will not be able to get a ship in there. You don't know what this is. We control this. And you took us on? You took us because you think we're what? Now, for some reason, I don't know if you put a figurative gun to my head, I'm saying, what did these people ever do to us? I don't know. And if either Israel goes after Iran or through some kind of whatever, it escalates. And Iran says, all right, we've had enough. You think Russia's going to help Iran? You goddamn right they are. Now we're in it. So what are we doing?
So let's go over some of the backstory then.
Yeah.
I've been listening to Colonel Douglas McGregor and Scott Ritter on this. They said that when Trump brokered the ceasefire, the Houthis stopped any kind of attacks on ships.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, the US is now bombing them, and they've not attacked any ships in months. And they're bombing on the basis that they're attacking ships. So it seems like it's a pretext to escalate war, which I believe is motivated by the military-industrial complex. And I believe they are overriding Trump's will to get all wars wound down.
Well, you're also hearing what people are saying, what Judge Napolitano is doing, and McGregor and Mearsheimer and everybody else. They're saying this is all a proxy war for Israel. Now, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. This is the bottom line. This is what they're saying. That we're out there and that Iran backs everything. Iran backs everything. It sponsors everything. All the people and everything. If you have a rash on your arse, it was Iran. They did it. All right. Now, all I know is we had the other day Kash Patel, who is our FBI head, who said, and we're going to make sure that Israel, our number one ally. Now, let me say this right off the bat. Let me just be as clear as possible. I've got no problem with the people of Israel. Love them. I've been twice. Love the place. Is the people wonderful where I've been. Haifa was beautiful. You name it. That's over here. Judaism, I have no concern whatsoever. That's over here. Not anti-Semitic. That's over here. I'm talking about Bibi Netanyahu and a military operation regarding the state of Israel. That's what we're talking about. And in our country, the argument is made, and Napolitano and others are saying that there's this organization called AIPAC, which you've heard, which is basically the Jewish lobby, which they claim owns everybody, and that we're making all this posturing in order to satisfy them, quid pro quo for the monies received, whatever it is. I don't understand, with all the problems, what does Iran have to do with us? What have they ever done? Let me be very clear. I don't care. With all due respect, I don't care. You know, Conor McGregor, by the way, he's a weirdo. He and the Tate brothers, that notwithstanding, what he said about what's going on in Ireland with I don't care. You don't care about what goes on in my country. I don't care what goes on in yours. I really don't. I wish you the best. I wish you peace. How is it that as President Trump is doing tremendous inroads regarding Putin's, I think, one of the smartest people, most rational person ever. I can explain the whole military military operation easily. But then there's this other side that shows this psychotic disconnect when it comes to Iran. I don't understand it. Have you explained what's happening to anybody? If I showed you instrument rating, if I said, okay, I'm going to show you a country, I'm not going to tell you which one, and let's say it was Gaza, Palestine, whatever, you would say, oh my God, this has got to stop. This is terrible. This is genocide. This is ethnic cleansing. This is apartheid. This is Israel. Oh, well, that's different. That's exactly what you would do. You would say, wait a minute. Now, what am I supposed to do? What? I'm anti-Semitic? I'm pointing out an obvious thing here. I was the one who said my country was wrong in Vietnam. I said it, still say it. What was I, anti-American?
Iran has been on the hit list for the Project for the New American Century for decades. And Chomsky wrote that America has a foreign policy of resource extraction. You're either a client state or you're not a client state. And if you're not a client state, America will come up with all kinds of diabolical schemes, false flags, etc., to make you a client state.
Little by little, I hope with the exception of Russia and Ukraine, aside from that, there's a big difference. There is not a difference in this administration and the prior administration when it comes to the rest of the world. When it comes to Middle East, or it's identical. It's completely identical. Okay. I have this feeling, and I would like to believe this, where President Trump would say, I know, work with me on this. I can't break away right away. Russia I can do a lot of good with. That's complete nonsense. But this is ridiculous. I mean, this is one where the entire world, please help me out with this, with the exception of, I don't know, forget NATO, but what is happening to the poor people of Palestine, it is just, I as a human being, my heart, you as a parent, when I see kids stacked up like cords of wood, and I'm thinking, well, they're doing that because because Hamas is in the underground and they have to be, and look, that is just, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe But then again, I lived through Vietnam. We have a wall in Washington. If ever you want to see it, it's something. 58,000 names. You go, what the hell was this? We went over there to kill people. We still don't know why we did it. So is this any different? Did people just wake up and say, well, this is the worst thing? No, it's not. I mean, I shouldn't say thank God. Forgive me, strike me. I'm sorry for saying that. But they're doing this. We were so crazy, we went over there. 58, those were dead. Forget the maimed and the completely out of their mind. We are the worst form of species. But let's go back to Russia. Russia makes the most sense. Russia, I hope we see ultimately the complete and total extrication of the U.S. from NATO. I don't know when. Do we need NATO? NATO was there for what? To protect us from what? The Soviet Union. Last I heard, there ain't no Soviet Union. It's ridiculous. What are we doing in NATO? We are NATO.
Lionel, are you disheartened by the escalation in the Middle East when we thought things were going to calm down all over the world?
Horrible. Absolutely. It's like, what are we doing here? Put it this way. You've created a problem that there's no solution for. It's like what is the answer? There's no two-state solution. I haven't I haven't the foggiest idea of what I would do to fix it. But the first thing I would do is, listen, I hate to say this, what would Jesus do? Jesus would say, stop it! Stop! Stop! Whatever you're doing, stop. We'll get to the point. Just stop. This has to stop now. This is bizarre. Same thing with Ukraine. What did you want? Let me ask you this one. This is the best part. Could you please tell me why Zelensky, why Ukraine is still not in NATO when that's what this is all about? What the hell were they there for? Why did NATO say, well, of course you're going to be in NATO. Come on in. Come on in. This is what it was there for. Because Putin basically said, you're not going to put a NATO country on my border. That's it. And they said, you're not going to tell us whether they're going to be in NATO or they're going to be on NATO. You're goddamn right they're going to be in NATO. Okay. When? Soon. Soon. And so they get this guy of all the people. They get Zelensky, the guy who plays his organ with his organ. This is the guy they got. Why didn't they get somebody who comes up, who talks like this? Some 6 foot, oh my God. Somebody maybe that people respect. Who's this clown? Sean, you can't write this stuff. So anyway, so Putin said, I don't know how many times, I don't want you to do this. So finally, when the military operation started, what happened? He and Zelensky were going to meet. And then your guy, Bojo, comes in and says, oh, no, you don't. It's bizarre. It is bizarre. I don't understand war. I would be the worst. It's the most ridiculous. As a human being, what am I doing? If you just want to say, look, do me a favor. Let's take all of our USAID money. I don't know if you know about that with Elon. And just say, look, we will pay all of you military folks just to go away. If we pay you, could we just stop this? Yes. Okay, let's just pay them off and be done with it. It'd be cheaper. Just pay them. Lockheed Martin, here you go. Raytheon, how much do you want? Give them the money. Whatever they want. Just shut up, shut down, and go away. We don't need you anymore. What are these wars for? What do we need an F-35 for? We're going to go after what? Somebody in Iran with an F-35? What do we need a battle carrier? What is this, a battle of Midway? What do we have navies for? What is this? What do we, it blows my mind. So anyway, you know what Elon Musk did because they're going after all the Teslas. You've heard about that, right?
Yeah, and the stocks come back down to $200.
Well, you know what? Now's the time to buy.
So let me just address a few points you've raised there. You're saying why do they need all? You're saying why do they need all this military stuff? Hmm? According to Adam Smith, Wealth of the Nations, and Guns, Germs, and Steel, whichever country has got the biggest military technological advancements will dominate the world until someone else comes up with some kind of innovation that puts them out of business. Mm-hmm. And then you said about the Middle East, Yemen, etc. So with Trump, then, in terms of political power when it comes to war, with Middle East policy, does this suggest to you that Trump is not in charge when it comes to Middle East policy, when it comes to war? There are dark forces above him that are calling the shots. Yes. That's my question.
Yes, absolutely.
And does that disappoint you? Does that disappoint you?
No. Or you walked into something and says, listen, you are going to make, it's going to be a while for you to extricate yourself from all of this. This is something that pre-exists you or precedes you. This is the way it is. Look, you and I are here. We are YouTubers, right? And no matter what we do, no matter what we say, we are constantly always bowing to rules and algorithms set, no matter how great we are. And we can change this slowly. But while you're here, there are certain things that he is going to have to, he can't upset the apple cart. Exactly. And by the way, as they're looking at all of these JFK files, You don't think Trump's saying, I got 3 times I got this. So I'd say maybe take this a little bit easy. By the way, the great Bill Hicks, the great comedian Bill Hicks, the comedian. Bill Hicks had a great line years ago. And I hate when people, because I hate most comedians are just a waste of time. But he said something very good. He said years ago, I have an idea that when the president of the United States comes into office for the first time, and they show him where his desk is and where the bathroom is, somebody said, Mr. President, do you mind? Yeah, we're going to show you something. And they pull the drapes down, and they bring out an old projector, like an old 8mm, with a screen. He goes, we want to show you something. And it's November the 22nd, 1963. From a vantage point of the assassination, from a vantage point nobody's ever seen before, almost from the point of view of the assassin. Nobody's ever seen this. And he realizes, and then they turn the lights back on. He goes, now, any questions? So as the president right now is going through this, I think he's going to be very careful that he understands his vision, but he's not going to upset the apple cart too quickly. He'll be allowed certain, Ukraine, go ahead. We all like that one. Middle East, Meanwhile, though, the irony, the country couldn't care less. Americans couldn't care less. The world, I would say, is exactly the opposite. Just spend any amount of time. So within this inertial bubble, there's this move. It's the weird. We saw with LBJ. LBJ, when he came after the, when he said, I'm not going to be the first president to lose a war. We have to stop the communists from this domino effect. They would say, what are you talking about? It's been done before. But you're right about this. If all of a sudden we disarmed, if we said, I don't want to disarm, believe me when I tell you that. Oh, no. But the idea of us expending, we don't even have any weapons now. If God forbid we need, rockets, and we don't have them. Speaking of which, changing the subject, how about Elon Musk? How about those 2 people or 3, whatever, in space saying, hey, remember us? And she with the Bride of Frankenstein with her hair. And she, remember us? Yeah. Oh, son of a bitch. I'm sorry. We forgot all about you. Can somebody come get us? And who did it? Elon. Elon, I'll be right there. And he does it. So I'm thinking to myself, when I meet this, I like to meet this Sunny, whatever her name is. I'm saying, can I ask you a question? Yeah. You almost gave your life for what exactly? What was this about? I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you something right now. And I know this is the most terrible thing to say. I think this space travel is some of the most stupid stuff I've ever seen in my life. It sounds great. It's wonderful. But we're like this. There we are. Here's the airlock. Yeah. Space station. Oh, we're learning all these things. What are you learning? Isn't it funny how they don't go past the Van Allen? They kind of stay right there. Isn't it funny how but they don't go to the moon. Why don't you go to the moon? No. But Elon Musk came along and he did it. He saved the day. And what are we doing? We're blowing his cars up and tearing up his dealership. You know what else he did, which is interesting? Elon Musk, because he's a weird guy, but I love the guy because I just don't know. He has DOGE. You know what that is? The Department of Government Efficiency. So he walked into this one place. He took a bunch of kids, like 19 years old. They look like nerds. And he said, I'm going to walk into a place. He just came off the street. And there was a place called USAID. International Development or whatever it is. And nobody knew what it was. It was Samantha Power. And her husband, of course, is Cass Sunstein, who wanted was infiltration. And one of but people always said, who is this woman? I don't know who she is. How do you go in? These people are worth like $40 million. Where do they get this money? I don't know. It's the way it is. Great investing. Okay. Well, USAID was this thing that nobody knew about. After all, who could be against USAID, USAID? Who in the hell could be against that? So Elon Musk comes in and says, we're going to start with you. And he took his nerds and all of a sudden they undid it and they said, You're not going to believe the money. This place was billions, maybe trillions of dollars. What he did, Sean, was he unlocked the source of everything. Politico to websites to MSNBC to left-wing this to Saturday Night Live, you name it. They just printed money. And it was unchecked. He went from there. Then he went to our Social Security, which is our, for pensioners or whatever you would call it in yours. Found out there were people 140 years old. Some people were older than the United States. What does this mean? The deep state, the intel state, the shadow government, the ruling class are scared shitless. They're thinking, he found out all this money. They're shutting this one down, shutting this one down. And the ripple effect is like I've never seen before. Because let me tell you something. Forget all of your weapons. If I get rid of all of the money that promoted all of the left-wing stuff, all of the propaganda, all this nonsense, and the music and the LGBTQ and the trans and all of this crap, if it's gone, guess what? There's nothing there anymore. You see this vacuum, and they don't know what to do. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Question from Nikki. Putin agreed to a 30-day ceasefire. After the 30 days, will he be able to do as he will?
Now, let me ask Nikki.
He's not agreed, has he?
I think he said, I agree to the concept or something like that, didn't he? Now, imagine this. You got to be something. Hey, Vlad Putin, yeah. Let me ask you a question. Yeah, what is it? I want you to agree to a ceasefire, but I'm winning. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that does pose a problem. You see, we want you to stop. Why? Because it's wrong. Okay. But meanwhile, we're going to keep funding and fueling and arming the guy who's shooting you. But I want you to work with me because I got your best interest. But I'm paying for that. I think Putin would say, excuse me, Donald, yes. Are you smoking the kush? What are you, crazy? You want me to do what? I'm winning. I'm winning. What are you talking? What he went into the Kirsch or whatever it was. He surrounds him. He goes, all right, come on, give up. Ceasefire. I don't understand this. I really don't. I mean, I don't. So I think, and I do believe that President Trump, deep down inside, says, I know, Vlad, work with me, please. This is the biggest bunch of nonsense. I don't know what we're talking about. I look tough. You look tough. Okay. Can we work on a hockey game? Okay, we'll work on that for a while. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Leave the man alone. Do you know what we did? This was before your time. In 1962, I was 4. But we were going to go to war with Russia because they had missiles in Cuba 90 miles away.
Yep.
This is on the border. We were going to go to war with Russia because of Cuba. And we kind of understand this. That was okay for us. Actually, it was the missiles in Turkey and not Cuba. So we're pretending like we don't understand this. What if China was on the southern border in Mexico? China. And there were pockets of, we would say, oh, no, we have the Monroe Doctrine. See, I love my country, but my government is another story. We say things to you that makes no sense. We do things exactly counter to what we tell you not to do. Why? Because we're the United States. We can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. And there are some people who say, well, what's wrong with that? Well, you know what? That catches up with you every once in a while. We don't have to do this. We can be the good guys. We don't need to do this. People know how strong we are. They know this. We don't have to keep, the real tough guy is the quiet guy. That's the guy you got to watch out for. not the one who's braggadocious. So, I mean, I would be so terrible at this. Let me tell you what happened years ago. 2005, I think it was. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, women, I got to be careful how we say this, women were absolutely ravaged by soldiers who were they suffered incomprehensible horrors with bayonets, stakes, spears. Women suffered fistulas. They became incontinent. They had to leave their villages